Hello, everyone. It's Diana McAlintal,
I'm Nick Wagner.
and this is the last day, day 4 of NCCL, which means
National Conference of Catechetical Leadership.
very good. We celebrated the last of the morning prayers, and we have one more prayer to go as our concluding prayer, the commissioned prayer for the convocation.
So just as a quick recap, there are 4 themes that progress throughout the convocation. So the first day was longing. The second day was nurturing. Yesterday was preparing. And today, the final day, is commissioned.
Commissioned. And throughout the week, people have been using that word commission, kind of breaking it up and saying co-mission.
Co-mission.
This kind of, approach to mission, that it's not one person's job or one group's job, but all of our mission. And what Nick and I focused on today is that it is our baptism that gives us that mission, that co-missioning with the people of God.
One of the points one of the speakers made last night was a lot of times the baptized priesthood is waiting around. Mm-hmm. We're waiting to get a seat at the table. We're waiting for the bishops to start an initiative. We're waiting for the pastor to pay attention to us. We're waiting for more education or another workshop. We're always waiting. And as we're waiting, the wounds of the church grow more deep and more painful. And so instead, we need to take Pope Francis's mandate to go and heal the wounds. Yes. And so that's kind of what we focused on in the morning prayer today, was that commission to go out and heal the wounds.
Yeah. So one of the adaptations that we've been doing throughout the week in our morning prayer is not just focusing on the Psalms and the Scripture, but also including a spiritual text from either a contemporary writer or one of the saints or some holy person. And so today's spiritual reading came from Pope Francis's interview early on in his pontificate, where he talked about how he sees the church as a field hospital. And as a field hospital, it makes no sense if we ask a person who comes to us, how is your cholesterol, or how is your blood sugar, and all of that, while they are bleeding out, while they are wounded. And so he says in that interview, our first task is to heal the wounds. Once we do that, then we can talk about everything else.
So we mentioned that there were 4 themes that were kind of progressive throughout the week. And oftentimes in our parishes, we deal with themes. We might have a theme on Sunday. You know, it's Catechetical Sunday, or it's Youth Sunday, or Family Sunday. Or there might be a theme for one of our prayers for a catechetical session or something like that. And the themes can give us a lens at which to look at our prayer. But one thing that new liturgical planners, one mistake that new liturgical planners often make, is they treat whatever the given theme is as the whole fulcrum of the prayer. Yeah. And the reality is, when Christians gather to pray, there is ever only one theme, especially at Sunday liturgy, or Liturgy of the Hours, but really anytime Christians gather to pray, there's only one theme. Yeah. And that theme is the Paschal Mystery, Jesus Christ's death and resurrection, and our incorporation into that mystery. And any prayer that we do has to make that the bedrock of what we're praying about.
There's a document by the United States bishops. It's a relatively older document called Fulfilled in Your Hearing. And it's a document specifically on preaching. But there's one section in that document that might give us a kind of a parallel of how to think about this idea of themes and their connection to the Paschal mystery of Christ, the primary theme of any gathering of the people of God. In that document by the U.S. bishops fulfilled in your hearing, they say that the task of the homilist is not so much to do biblical study on the scriptures for that day. And sometimes we treat themes like that. We focus on one thing out of the scriptural text, and everything is about that one thing, and it becomes that Sunday. So, for example, like Good Shepherd Sunday, we say Good Shepherd Sunday, or Divine Mercy Sunday, or Catechetical Sunday, things like that. But really, in that document, it says the scripture really is a lens for interpreting the lives of the people. And so what we do then with the theme that we might have for any liturgy, the theme that we create, really is to use that as a lens for interpreting how the principal theme of Christ's Paschal mystery is being revealed and refined and refocused for us through that lens of that theme. And so that's another way to think about it. There's what's the word, a legend, a story that liturgists say among themselves, that this great liturgical professor once said that the correct answer to every question is always the Paschal mystery. And so if you ever get stumped by someone asking you a liturgical question, it's always correct to just answer Paschal mystery, Paschal mystery.
So we got some comments from some of the participants about how well the liturgies reflected the theme every day, and that made me think I think the reason that it reflected the theme so well is not like we spent a whole bunch of energy, like on the first day where the theme was longing. We didn't spend a lot of energy, a lot of time repeating longing, longing, longing. I mean, there were some echoes of longing in the songs and some of the prayers, but the emphasis was, as Diana said, how the Paschal mystery is reflected in our lives. Mm-hmm. And because of that, we can just sort of touch on longing, because the Paschal mystery reveals to us a whole depth of what longing is about. And that's true with every theme. And if we'd have gone the other way, I believe this is true. If we'd have gone the other way and created this lots of imagery around longing, and every song was about longing, and we kind of went looking through Scripture to get just those readings that were about longing, got a spiritual longing. I'm not sure it would have had the depth, and I'm not sure folks would have had the same sense that it reflected the theme. It's kind of paradoxical. The more you focus on a theme that's not the Paschal mystery, the more you kind of lose touch with the idea that you're trying to focus on.
So principle number one for liturgy in this video is that the theme is always Christ's Paschal mystery. A second principle then is that as we are preparing liturgy, we always keep that in mind, and we give a balance to the liturgical sense that all liturgy is timeless, meaning that it should be almost in a way objective. So the objectivity of our liturgies this week came from the structure of the Church's prayer that has been handed down to us. So the objectivity of the Liturgy of the Hours being faithful to that structure and format. The subjectivity, the timeliness of liturgy comes from the difference that we bring to the prayer of the Church. The circumstances of our lives today as individuals and as a gathered assembly, it becomes a layer that gets placed upon the timelessness of our liturgical action together. And so that's kind of a theological liturgical principle. Liturgy is both timeless, meaning objective, some universal, and timely, in that it reflects the specific people who are gathered together.
So in a sense, we could, I think we could take the exact prayers that we did here and sort of airlift them and take them to a different conference, and we would not have to tweak them very much for them to kind of resonate with that conference because of the objectivity Diana's talking about. We have a basic structure of the liturgy of the hours, but the musicians would be different people. Even if it's the same people, they'd be different a year from now than they are now. They would play the music differently than was played here. The assembly would be different, so they would react differently to the music or to the prayers, to the readings. The presiders would be different. And all of that timeliness, that subjectivity, is free to kind of express itself because we have that solid base of the structure of Liturgy of the Hours that we're playing within.
And that connects back to the very first principle, I think, in the first video that we talked about, that ritual, the repetitiveness, not boringness, but the repetition that ritual gives us allows us the freedom to play within that structure. And so we need to let go of a bias that ritual is boring or ritual is repetitive. It is the very fact that we know what's going to happen next that allows the Spirit to surprise us in that structure.
The thing that makes ritual boring is when it's not done very well.
Exactly.
So if the musicians are not competent, if the lectors don't proclaim in a way we can hear the readings, if the homily is kind of insipid, if the environment doesn't allow us to really hear and see and feel comfortable, those are the things that cause ritual to be boring. But if you think of a Broadway play, a lot of people will go see the same play 2, 3, 4, 5, sometimes a dozen times. Like think of Hamilton, for example. People get thrilled by the quality and the beauty of the art that goes into making that structure happen. And that's true with liturgy. If Sunday Mass is done at a level of art, a level of care and a level of dedication every Sunday, I get thrilled by that.
Now, that care and dedication requires work.
Yes,
requires a lot of work.
yes.
And so a lot of the work that Nick and I, plus a whole team of other people, did this week, even once the liturgy, the scripts were printed and the music chosen, our work still wasn't done. So we had sent out a call for people to offer their service as liturgical ministers, and we have no idea. This is a national gathering, and we don't know everyone personally, so we don't know what their skills are, but we needed people to do ministerial work in each liturgy. So we put out a call, people responded graciously, and we wrote down their names. But then before every liturgy, we had people arrive early, and we rehearsed very carefully with each person, each ministry, even if they were just carrying candles or the cross, even if they weren't saying anything, we wanted them to feel confident in what they were about to do on behalf of the gathered assembly. And so you can't just say, we want you to do this. We worked with them and prepared them.
Another thing about the liturgy that we celebrated today, it's kind of it's the last one, and folks are feeling kind of low energy. And the music director, Anna Betancourt, I think she sort of anticipated that. She's done a lot of national conferences. And so she started us off with a song that makes you get up and clap and makes you get up and move. And it wasn't even exactly, it was like a prelude. It was just like a good morning, wake up everybody kind of thing. And that's really key also, that the ministers, the leaders of the prayer, have to be aware of how you get everybody collected.
Yes.
How you get everybody sort of into the moment. And so I think this idea is really key for parish liturgical planners, because the thing that will do that in most parishes is the opening song on Sunday. And I don't think, as a general rule, I don't think parish music planners spend enough time thinking about that opening song and what it's meant to do, and the assembly that's going to sing it. So it might be that the 10 a.m. assembly needs one kind of song, And the Sunday 6 p.m. assembly is going to need a different kind of song. You have to kind of know the community and know what it is that's going to collect everybody and get them ready to pray.
Yes. So those are some of the things that we've been reflecting on how the liturgies worked this week and what we did to try and facilitate that work. And we hope that our sharing this with you gives you some insight into how to make your liturgies in your communities work better. We have one more liturgy to go in like an hour or two, or an hour and a half or so, and that's going to be the sending off liturgy. That's going to be a very short liturgy. Our morning prayers have been about 40 minutes long. This one, I think, will be maybe 10, 15 minutes or so, but we're going to do something kind of not risky, but
Different.
very different. So right before this closing liturgy, the participants in the convocation are going to be in 4 different rooms in the same place, having a focused, intentional meeting, work meeting. And from that work meeting, they will bring the commitment that they have discerned for themselves and for their groups, that they will take away from this gathering. They will bring that to prayer. And so typically you might just say, okay, once you're done with your meetings, just come back to the main meeting space where we'll conclude in prayer. But we really want to make the concluding prayer integrated into the work that they're doing. And so what we're going to do right before they plan to end their forum meetings, we will be in the kind of lobby area where all of those 4
Where
meeting
the 4 doors
spaces,
open onto a hallway, a lobby.
and we're going to have the cross there, which has been a central sign and symbol of our prayer together this week. And from that public space, and so we're in a hotel room in Orange County, and there's a lot of people here, families with kids who are going to Disneyland, business people who are having their own conference meetings here, people who are just enjoying the hotel. We're going to process from those 4 public meeting spaces down this hall where it will infiltrate.
Past Starbucks, past the ice cream shop.
It will infiltrate the public space. Our liturgy will, on a small level, infiltrate the public space and disrupt the normal day-to-day life of the people who will happen to be there, as we are processing back into the main space to continue the concluding liturgy. And I'm thinking, oh, that's really weird. But remember, processions are part of our tradition. Processions are not meant to be processing in your church. They are public statements of our faith out in the world. And so we're going to try a little public statement of our faith here at the conclusion of this convocation.
So we'll come back and do another one of these videos to let you know how it went.
We'll have
afterwards.
our wine and our
umbrella
adult
drink,
beverages ready. So thanks so much for joining us this week in these videos. We're going to do one more and let you know how that all went. But
all right, everyone.
we're
Take
grateful.
care.
Thanks.
God bless. Bye-bye.
Bye.